Hey guys, Raymond here, our Hatfield Photography, Indianapolis wedding and engagement photographer. Today, a little something different. We have a gear review for the Sabrent Shockproof SSD Hard Drive Enclosure. Let's get into it. Okay, here it is. This just showed up in the mail. Let's open it up. I will be taking a few trips this summer out of the state and will need something to back up specifically the photos while I am away. So I figured that having a nice shockproof case would be the way to go. This is very reminiscent of the, I think it's called Lacie. They're rugged drives. Let's go ahead and open this up. Packaging, I mean, you know, it's whatever. Looks like that's the enclosure itself, and then we have the rubber silicone outer protective shell. We got screws, I'm assuming is for the hard drive enclosure. Let's take out the silicone protective cover first. I'm pretty sure this is made just from the exact mold as the Lacie rugged drives. It feels exactly the same, it looks exactly the same. Let's open up the drive itself. Looks like it could be a standalone drive itself. Okay, so those two screws are going to go right here to connect it all together. Okay, looks like we first, obviously you gotta line them up, plug that in. Just like that, huh? Looks like if you can see that right there. There's a bit of a gap, which there isn't on that side. So that's, I wonder if it would fit going in that way. Yeah, no, same thing. Well, let's go ahead and install the screws. For a drive that is being marketed and advertised as a rugged drive, there is no sort of internal dampening, meaning that inside of the enclosure it is just the drive itself and empty space. Now it doesn't feel like there's any movement whatsoever, which, you know, is good. You would think that for something that is supposed to be very rugged, it would have maybe a little extra layer of protection, so that would be nice. And then sure enough, yeah, maybe a little less sturdy than the Lacie rugged drive. When you plug it in, I mean, it fits perfectly, like it was made for it. We got one more step before this is complete. Perfect. Let's go ahead and plug it into the computer and see if we find any problems. All right, I'm sitting in front of my computer. We're about to plug this thing in. Okay. Yep, I can definitely feel it. However, there's no lights, there's no indication that it is on. And sure enough, there is my drive right there, my boot clone. So it went ahead and connected real quick. Now that I connected, let's go ahead and do a carbon copy backup just to make sure that we don't run into any errors while backing up. But a few of the pros and cons so far. The major con for me is that the inside of the enclosure offers no sort of protection for the drive itself. That is a con. I might put some gaff tape on the drive itself just to offer a little bit of protection. Pros, obviously the price. This enclosure was $10 shipped to me. The mold itself for the silicone outer shell feels exactly like the Lacie rugged hard drive version. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just, you know, a cheap Chinese knockoff that got a hold of the mold or whatever, because it feels and looks exactly the same. Another con is that this install requires tools. Albeit a tiny screwdriver, I have plenty of screwdrivers this small, but this hard drive kind of implies that there's going to be travel. To assume that I'm going to be traveling with a tiny screwdriver with me at all times? Do you travel with a teeny tiny screwdriver with you at all times? Not saying that you need this teeny tiny screwdriver everywhere where the hard drive goes, but I'm going to be using this when shooting weddings. If I were to travel across the country, shoot a wedding, back up the drive, and for some reason it failed, and I needed to replace that drive immediately, say go to Best Buy or whatever, just buy another hard drive, I would also have to buy another screwdriver to replace it with. Okay, so it finished, copied a total of 23, just over 23 gigs in 22 minutes. If I were to just drag and drop a 23 gig file, I would be willing to bet that it would have copied much faster than 22 minutes. But the point of this whole test was just to see if any errors would have occurred, and sure enough, none. That's good. Overall, it feels good. It feels rugged. Feels exactly like what I wanted it to, especially for the price. I mean, the price is really good. If you're just buying the cheapest Enclosure, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you're spending like $300 on a solid state, but then you're trying to save money on the Enclosure, maybe you should really think about your values and how important the data is. I have an active RAID inside of my computer, so this is just redundancy on top of redundancy. I would give this product 3.5 stars, closer to 4, but the build quality feels fine. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall apart. I feel like they cut some corners. And obviously you'd have to for the price. Alright, I hope that you enjoyed this review of the Sabrent Shockproof SSD USB 3.0 Enclosure. If you did, let me know. Check the description below for links to Amazon as well, where you can purchase it if you want it. Thanks again, guys. Have an awesome day.